Does anyone have any method that they've heard of for if you have to add together two negative numbers or subtract with negative numbers? Does anyone have anything to offer? I can't see your pictures now, guys, so you'll have to chat. No? Nothing at all? Yeah? I do not have like my textbook, so like, is there a way I can? Yeah, you can. On Teams, okay, if I show you now, if you go to M2 General and then click on Files, you'll see it's there. Look, this one. For anyone that doesn't have the book, it's there. Okay, guys, so what we need to do when we add a positive number to a negative number or subtract or anything like that, we have to think about it a little bit more. Can I just ask before we go through, what do you think? Just change the pen. What do you think this one? So 3 add a negative 7. What do you think the answer would be? Any ideas? Negative 4. You think that would be negative 4? After you raise your hand, what do you think it would be? Matthew? You think it could be negative 10? Any other options? No? Anyone agree with one of those answers? No one. You agree with this one? You agree with Matthews? Okay. You agree with Matthews? Okay. Let's have a look at another one then. Let's have a look at negative 3. Add a positive 5. What do you think? So you think that would be positive 8. Any other options? Positive 2 or negative 8. Positive 2 or negative 8. Okay. Any other options? You think positive 2? Okay. One more. Let's have a look at this 6 plus negative 5. What do we think? Positive 1. You think that's positive 1? Anyone else? I agree with Kristen. Yeah? Yeah? Anyone else? Anything different? You don't have to, you could agree. No, we're all good? This seems to be the one. Why is there only one answer for this and more than one answer for the other two? What do you think? What's the reason? Why did this one seem a bit easier? Is there a chat? Let's have a look at chat. I can only see the algebra. Oh, have I not changed my screen, guys? No. Yeah, I have the same problem myself. Oh, you should have said. Sorry, I thought you were. Ugh. So you see what I see now? Yeah, sorry, I was on the wrong thing. Okay, all right. So looking at those 3 questions, what do you think? Why do you think the last one only had one answer for you guys? Why did that lead to more kind of agreement? There is. Oh. here. So more chat. Okay. So that one's easier because you think it's just like a subtraction. So what about this one then? Can we come to a consensus as to what that one could be? People are rocking up late today. No? Okay, well, let's talk about the hot air balloon method. Has anyone heard anything about the hot air balloon method before? No? Okay, let's go through it. Let's do 3 plus -7. All right, so first of all, let's define what a positive and a negative means in terms of a hot air balloon. Anyone know about hot air balloons? You know they float. So what we're going to do, a positive number, right, will mean hot air. And what does that make a balloon do? Go up, okay? A negative we're going to call it's called ballast, but we're going to call it a weight. What does a weight do? Makes you go down. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to consider whether we add hot air or subtract hot air. You can let hot air out, or whether you add a weight or remove a weight. I mean, it's a bit theoretical because obviously you can't add a weight to a balloon if you're up in the air unless someone floats along and adds it, but we'll consider that. Okay, so if I look at this question, this number here, as with any addition or subtraction, is our starting value. All right, so this is where I consider my starting value. All right, that means my balloon needs to start at 3. All right, so that's where we currently are. And then this tells me what I need to do. So I am going to add, okay, and what am I adding? Weight. How many of them? 7 weights. So something I didn't mention is every one negative is one weight moves you down 1. Okay. So if I another if I add 7 weights, that's going to move me down 7 places from 3. So that would be, I haven't got a big enough number, but if I were to continue number line, where would I end up? -4, wouldn't I? Yeah. If I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay, I would end up at -4. Now, that doesn't mean anything in terms of height. If this was ground level at 0 that we've talked about, obviously I'd be under the ground. But we're talking a theoretical approach to how I do my additions and subtractions. So that works out that this answer here was the correct one. Okay. What could I surmise? What could be my idea for someone that gets the answer -10? What did they do? Well, forget the hot air bit, just the numbers now. Well, yes, you're right. That would be a correct answer. If I did -3, add -7, okay, that would get me the right answer. I was thinking, what did someone do here? Well, what they did, well, I'm was did the 3 and the 7. They did 3 plus 7 makes 10, and then they know there's a negative sign, so they put the -10. That's a common kind of mistake people do, but you've already said this is what that would actually get an answer, so that means you're already understanding a bit more. Okay, so let's just consider another one then. So we've got -3, -2. So this one I'm at I'm starting at -3. Okay, and I'm going to add what? No.
5 units of hot air.
5 hot airs, yeah. Exactly. So I start at -3. Adding hot air sends me up 5 spaces. So that would take me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So yes. Which one was correct? This one here. Okay. All right. So the issue here again, this was where someone did 3 plus 5 and then just stuck the negative in front of it. Okay. I don't know how I'd explain positive A, but okay. Let's see whether we can do the final one without the hot air balloon, but have it in your head. What do you think? Do we agree that this is +1 now, or is there a different answer? What do you think, guys? Yeah. So if you think about a hot air balloon again, we're starting at 6. Starting at 6 up here. Colour I can actually see. Starting at 6. The hot air balloon starts up at 6, and then we do what? We add 5 weights, which is going to send me down 5, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we're happy that this is the correct answer, yeah? Okay, let me ask you a different one then. What if I were to give you a question like these ones? So let's do 4 subtract -2. What do you think? Yeah. Ah, okay. A bit of a different way. That's good. If we do -6 subtract -4. Okay, what do you think the answers are? Take a moment at home, write down what you think the answers are. I'll pause the video. Right, guys, so just so you know, this one, you're correct there. This one, the correct answer is -2. Yeah, not this one. Now, Jackson, you said something really interesting, Jackson, which is, so basically this is subtracting, okay, and it's weight, isn't it? So we've got subtracting weight again here. Now, do you notice that the subtracting weight bit, it doesn't matter where you start from, okay? So a lot of people have this problem as they go further, that they worry about the number that they start from influences what they then have to do. Because really what they have to do is just this bit here, all right? And the number at the beginning is just their starting point, and they get a bit confused, all right? But Jackson, you said something interesting, which was that subtracting weight is actually the same thing as hot air. Yeah. So could I rewrite this question, but as a adding hot air version? Go on then. Or just 4 plus. Yeah. When we have positives, we don't need to worry about it, do we? Go on, carry on. Okay, so we've got this one. This could also be -6 plus 4. Yeah. Now, this does lead to one of the conclusions, guys, that two negatives, right? Two negatives are the same thing as doing a positive, yeah? Two negatives make a positive. But where does the confusion come? Well, let me show you a question. Well, I'll tell you what, let me show you this question and see whether you can spot where people's confusion can come from. So if I give you -3, okay, plus, let's say, -2. If I just write it with no brackets, okay? Or say -5 subtract 2. Okay. Yeah.
I have one for the second.
For the first one, if people could confuse it with just like 3 plus and -3 plus -2. And that would equal -5.
So do you think that's correct or incorrect?
Yeah, that's it.
That is correct, yeah. But what would people get wrong? What would they say that's incorrect and why?
Because it's two negative numbers, then
Well, they would say two negatives make a positive, which is what we've done. So the answer would then be 3 plus 2 makes +5, which is incorrect. That's the common mistake that people make, right? So the second one, what's the answer? That is -7, yeah? All right. And again, what do they think potentially the answer could be? +7, because two negative symbols mean you have a positive, okay? But that's not true again, okay? So we have to be really careful with this rule that we've got. So it's when we add and subtract, it's not as simple as saying two negatives make a positive, okay? Do we have a different rule that we could say that sums this up? Could you sum that up for me? That would work? So if I have to subtract a negative, I can just add a positive. Yeah. Now, one thing some people would say as well is if you deal with a negative number, all right, then this symbol swaps to the other symbol. You do the opposite thing. Because do you remember what we called, like, what did we say about numbers like -2 and +2? What did we say about them? They are opposites, yeah? Yeah. Okay, let me just check. Someone put something in Teams. All right. So if they're opposites, the reason is then because we know that the absolute value of -2 and the absolute value of 2 is 2, right? So what we can then say is if I do anything with a negative number, I can actually just do the opposite with the positive number. So for instance, -3 subtract -2 is the same thing as doing, so I don't want the answer, I want, almost that time, I want what we could do instead. So we do -3. So because I'm dealing with a negative number, I can do the opposite. So I can add the positive number. Yeah? But of course, we don't bother with the second positive. Well, this is just me making up questions at the moment. This is just me making stuff up at the moment, but in general, the page is page 120, that area. Okay. So we can say, so for instance, if I then gave you another one like 7 subtract, so add, let's do add -3. What can we do instead? So because I'm dealing with a negative number, I can do 7 subtract +3. Yeah? We don't need to do the positive. How are you feeling about that? Everyone's gone quite quiet. Does that make sense? Yeah?
This is algebra tiles are harder than
Okay, well, should we just have a look at the... Have you got the algebra tiles thing in front of you? No? Yeah? Okay, let's have a look. So, I think I gave you a link on Teams. So what we can do, we can use this for algebra as well, but we can also just do it for numbers. So when you're in the algebra tiles, basically you can click positives and negatives. Okay, so for instance, I can lay out some numbers. So this is like doing 3. Okay. If I want to do 4, add -2. So let's have a look at a question and show you how algebra tiles can work, so you can do a bit of research yourself. So on algebra tiles, I'm going to do 4 add -2. What's the answer, guys?
2.
2. All right. But I'm going to do this question on algebra tiles. So what I do on my algebra tiles is I lay out my 4, and then I've got to add -2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out 2 negatives. So I've got 4 and I've added 2 negatives. Okay? Does that work? Yeah, I think so, probably. So what I then do, if I want to add them, I do that, add them together, and actually the negatives cancel out 2 of the positives. And I'm left with the answer 2. And they just disappear, they become 0. Okay? So for instance, let's do a different question. Let's do -5, and I'm going to add, let's do positive, what should we do? -5 add +6. All right, so I can already see that. So on my other screen, -5 add 6. What's the answer? +1, easy, yeah? And on the algebra tiles, if we do this, if I do -5, if I then add +6, I get left with +1, yeah? Now the hard one would be subtracting, guys. So let's do a difficult question would be -3 subtract -7. Well, you don't have to, but you can. A lot of people do to make it clear. Do you know what the answer is, guys? Yeah, because we do -3, add 7, which gives me +4. Now, let's try that on the algebra tiles. This is a little thing, so just in case you want to do this. So I've got -3. Okay, it's just, you'll learn how to use this. And what have I got to do? Subtract -7. Okay, what's the problem with subtracting -7 from -3 using algebra tiles? Well, can I subtract more than what I've got? So for I need, I'm just going to put -1. I've only got a few minutes left. So there, you can delete, guys, and copy and paste. So here's my -3. Here's my -7. But I need to subtract. How can I do it? Well, this is what I do. If I need to subtract something I haven't got, all right, I'm going to copy. I'm actually going to put it in that line. But what's the problem with that? Okay, -10. So what I need to do to balance that out is I need some positives. And that balances them out. All right? Is this top half still -3?
Yes.
Okay. So what do I do? All right. Now, I can do -3 because this whole thing is -3 because all these negatives are cancelled out. But I need to leave them there. But what I can do now is I can subtract my -7. All right. I can subtract them, so I'm going to subtract my. Oh, what I'm going to do, I need to subtract, so I'm going to get rid of them. I'm going to subtract them from this line, right? Then what's left? I then have to overlap, and I'm left with 4. All right, so that's what I had to do to make the algebra tiles work. So I had to put another -7 in. So you might have found that a little bit complex to start with. Yeah, a little bit, but we'll.
I feel like the hot air balloon method would work better for double negative.
Yeah, probably. But we will be practicing. The algebra tiles are going to work really well when we get onto our algebra, so it'd be worth having a look at them, seeing if you can factor those in. Okay, guys, so you've got 2 options. I think we've done a bit. You've done really well, actually. You've been really quick picking that up. All right, Hayden's still trying to get in. So, to sum up in the last minute of the Zoom, all right, so we've done the fact that you've got the hot air balloon method. So this starting number, all right, is just where you start from, right? So the hot air balloon can be moved around. That's just where you start from. And then you can consider it like you either add or subtract hot air or weight to make you go up or down the number line. And the thing that we've then discovered is that actually subtracting weights is the same thing as adding hot air. Right? So that can help you when you have to add and subtract with your negative numbers. All right. All good? Any questions on that at the moment? No.
By the way, I just want to say this is
I know, yeah, I'm less than a minute. That's why I did that sum. All right, so for you guys, this section in your textbook, have a go at a few yourself. We've still got 5 minutes, so have a go at a few questions. Have a read about the algebra tile thing here, the symbols.